Hello, everybody. This is AG here, and welcome to the Riverside International Raceway in Riverside, California. This historic racetrack, playing host to the second race of the season in the Haas IndyCar Series 2023. This is NAPA Indy California, 19 laps around this 2.69-mile road course, and one of the fastest road courses we have on the circuit as well. Not only that, it's the first road course race of the season. We had the opening race of the season at the Auto Club Speedway last week, and Justin Zaidel, who won the first ever edition of this race here at the Riverside International Raceway 5 years ago, finally went back to victory lane after nearly 5 years. I'm joined alongside Mike and Nap. Great to have you alongside once again, my good man. Couldn't get you for the California 100, but great to have you here. And Micah, this is the first road course race of the season, so the California 100, a big race. Now the high-speed ovals are out of the way. This is a road course. It's much harder to make moves and make passes on these road courses. So if you're starting midway or in the back of the field, what do you need to do to get a decent finish or maybe even get the race victory here today at the Riverside International Raceway?
Well, Alex, this race last season was won on pit strategy by the 41 of Trey Smith. So nailing pit road, not making any mistakes, and possibly undercutting or overcutting, depending on what these teams have planned here today.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how the pit strategy plays out. It's going to be a major factor in who gets this race victory. As Micah said, last year Trey Smith won this race on strategy, and there's a very good chance that the guy who leads this race majority of the first part before the cycle of pit stops may not go to victory lane because of that cycle. And the big reason for that is the cycle of pit stops usually takes place right about the three-quarter mark of the race, around lap 14, 15, around that time. And we only have about 5 or 6 laps to go. And this is one of those racetracks where tire wear is not very significant either. So these guys can just go fuel only on their stop, and they can jump the field quite a bit in that case. So we'll have to see what goes on in terms of all that. This will be a very fast race as well, only 19 laps, like I said. One of the fastest road courses that we go to here in the Haas IndyCar Series, but we have been coming here since 2018, like I mentioned, the first edition of this race. I think that was the first edition of this race. It may have been the second. Justin Zaidel won that event, and I will never forget that race when Eric Monaco was coming to the checkered flag, came down the pit lane right at the finish, and Justin Zaidel won. And Zaidel would not win again in this series until last week in the California 100. And speaking of Zaidel, he is the points leader coming into this event. Got an 11-point lead on Luna Lona, who starts on the outside pole here today in Napa Indy California. John Andrews, who starts third, is 16 points behind. Thomas Troxel is 19 points behind. And Landon Smith Jr., 21 points behind coming into the second race of the season. Of course, a 16-race season this year instead of 20, so fewer races. So you want to get your points when you can if you want to go for that championship. We'll get these guys to roll off here from the Riverside International Raceway in Napa, Indy, California. Qualifying last night, I should say. Saw Ace Garcia win the pole in the Fast 6 shootout alongside Luna Lona there in row number 1. Ace Garcia, this is his third full-time season in the Haas IndyCar Series, and he has never gone to victory lane before, so we'll have to see if he can pull it off here today. A couple of veterans, John Andrews and Chris Reynolds there in row number 2. The winner could very well come from this row here today, so we'll have to see how that all goes down. Aaron Abel and your son, Jay Knapp. Great starting position for Jay in the number 98 for NS Racing and Nathan Stapleton. I can see Jay Knapp possibly getting a race victory this year, maybe even today. Logan Williams and Christian Master make up row number 4. Then we got Trey Smith, who won this race last year and almost won the championship as well. He's starting alongside Avery Alford in the number 13. Of course, that 13 won the championship with Brian Rodriguez last year, so we'll have to see if the 13 can do well here today. Cole Raymond and his teammate Tanner Parton there midway through the field. And then we got Nicholas Samadio, Christian Vargas, Landon Smith Jr., Zachary Fitzwater, John Stewart, the 34 machine of Bradley Bradshaw, Eric Drew, Brad Stover, number 1 of Angel Oliveira, the 33 of Roy Ribbleton. There's Thomas Troxel in the 42 alongside last week's winner, Justin Zaidel, and then Caleb Rose and the 94 Noah Clifton ran out the entire field here at the Riverside International Raceway. Well, Micah, I know you recognize some of those names, and of course, with this being a road course, the winner may come from up front, but who do you think is going to go to victory lane here in Napa, Indy, California?
You know what? I'm going to go with somebody completely different today. I'm thinking Caleb Rose goes back to front. see if he can flip this strategy on its head.
That is a bold prediction. That is a very bold prediction. Hey, Caleb Rose did not have a good run at Auto Club last week. Got caught up in that one wreck that didn't even bring out a caution. And then the caution ended up coming out later on. Yeah, he didn't have a good run there. Looking for his first ever win on the channel. That would be one heck of a way to get it done here. They're going from last to first here at Riverside. It's only 19 laps to do it as well. And what do you think the right pit call will be once we get to that cycle of pit stops? Right around lap 14, lap 15.
Definitely pitting sooner and taking fuel only. Anyone who takes tires, that is the wrong move in my opinion. We saw it last year.
Yeah, absolutely did. And of course, this is a track where tire wear is not very significant, unlike some of the other tracks that we will go to this season. So the fuel only stop, considering how long you can make it on fuel, may be the way to go. We'll have to see who gets it done. It's going to be an interesting one. This could also be a race of attrition as well. You have to watch out, especially for turn number 6, heading into turn number 7 there. That very, very tight right-hander can be place of attrition, but also watch out for the S's as well. Sometimes these guys get a little squirrely throughout that fast part of the racetrack, and we can see some big accidents. Going to make sure everyone rolls off here. Pace car is going to come down the pit lane, and here we go. The second race of the season in the Haas IndyCar Series 2023 is underway. We're green flag racing from Riverside. And a good jump there at the start for Ace Garcia and Luna Lona. And this is that treacherous part that I was talking about right here, turn number 6. That really sharp right-hander can definitely be a tough part to get through, because going so fast and you have to really check it up quickly to get through the corner. Ace Garcia able to hold on. Luna Lona, John Andrews, Chris Reynolds. There's Jay Knapp looking to take 5th away from Aaron Abel, but the top 6 remain in the top 6. And then they're still trying to shuffle behind them, get their positions. But a nice clean start throughout the field here on the first lap here at Riverside.
Yeah, and that turn 6 always gives me anxiety watching, because they get so close to that outside wall, and just the tiniest mistake can end your day.
Luna Lona here in the 00 looking to close in on Ace Garcia for the race lead. She finished runner-up in the California 100 last week, just behind Justin Zeidel. Ace Garcia is another guy who would love to get a race victory. Another long losing streak there for Garcia, and this is a huge opportunity for him here today. And a very good shot in this number 27 for the Dutch Atlantis Racing team, won by Frank Chilton.
Lona is
all over the gearbox.
I was about to say the same thing. Lona all over the gearbox of that 27.
Trying to get the
Can
run
she
there
sniff a draft down this backstretch?
That kink right there isn't really the best place, but if you get a run there into the final turn, turn number 11, sometimes you can get it to go your way, and that is sometimes where we see that pass start to be made. But Lona is right there on the 27. I think one guy, though, that I watch out for is Trey Smith. Remember the strategy he pulled off? I think he was roughly around this position when that cycle of pit stops began in last year's race. Well, here he is running 7th right now and actually looking to take 6th away from Aaron Abel. And for the race lead, Luna Lona has a shot here on Ace Garcia, but that outside through turn 1 usually isn't the best place to be. There's not much grip going through that corner, but that's going to bring in John Andrews here in the top 3, all on each other here on lap number 3.
Yeah, you get out of the groove. There is such little room for error here. There being sand on either side of the racetrack as you see them jumble up just a little bit. 27 going defensive, and Lona's going to get to the inside.
And look at this. This is also going to open the door for John Andrews as they head into turn 7. And Andrews to the inside of Ace Garcia for the 2nd position. I'd watch out for that 21 of John Andrews. Andrews hasn't been in this series in a little while. This is his 3rd full-time season. He has won a race before in the Haas IndyCar Series. Trying to get around the number 27 there of Ace Garcia. He's side by side right now, and that's exactly what Luna Lona wants to see. She's going to try to pull away here from the 2 drivers behind her. Andrews has the inside lane through turn 11 and will clear Ace Garcia and take 2nd. So Garcia from 1st to 3rd in 1 lap here at Riverside.
Now, if you're Garcia, don't count him out just yet, because like we've been saying, that pit strategy can certainly come back into play, and you never know when people might make mistakes. if you're going to make a mistake, it's good to make one on lap 3 and not on lap 17.
Absolutely. Of course, one mistake you don't want to make is getting involved in an accident, and thankfully we have not seen that yet. Troxel there currently in the last position, but all 26 drivers have raced a clean one so far. Now, interestingly enough, we tend to see a lot of attrition after the cycle of pit stops here at Riverside, so watch out for that once we get to the end of the cycle, because, while tire wear is not too significant here, it is still a thing, and a lot of these guys do not take tires after that cycle, and then they sometimes have some issues coming on and off the pit lane, so we'll just have to watch out for that. Trey Smith here, good battle for 6th, almost got around Aaron Abel there, and he's going to peek to the inside, and looks like he's going to try to take it away here on lap 4. He's going to do it, almost sent Abel into the outside wall there, almost didn't have him cleared, but he's going to take that 6th position away.
Yeah, and that is a deceptively quick hairpin. It's not much of an out-braking zone, so great move there as you see these guys continue going through the S's.
Aaron Abel there tried to cross back over on Trey Smith for that position, was not able to do so. Logan Williams here inside the top 10. Christian Master back in the Haas IndyCar Series, of course, great to have him back. Did wreck out in the California 100, but here he is running 9th. And then Tanner Parton, the rookie, running inside the top 10 right now. Great run for all those guys. Just have to see how it all goes down once we get to that cycle of pit stops. One thing I will say, these guys are not pulling away from each other. They're pretty much still all on each other, and John Andrews could easily close in on Luna Lona before that cycle begins, and we could see our second lead change of the race. We've already seen 2 different leaders so far, and that's exactly how many we saw last year in last year's edition of this NAPA Indy California event. But looks like a little bit of a more competitive race so far this year as Chris Reynolds now closing in on Ace Garcia. That 27 just doesn't quite have the speed right now, but this car does. Trey Smith trying to get around Jay Knapp here for the 5th position. I know you're not liking that, but Jay Knapp doing a great job hanging on to a top 5 right now.
Yeah, so far this season, much better run going than last, as Smith just can't hang it around that outside lane.
Trey Smith there, able to retain it in that 6th position, but he has pulled away from Aaron Abel. And look at that, they're kind of just all on each other. Lona has about 5 car lengths on John Andrews right there. But Ace Garcia's right on John Andrews. Chris Reynolds is right on Ace Garcia. Jay Knapp's right on Chris Reynolds. And Trey Smith's right on Jay Knapp. They're just all on each other right here. But I think one of the fastest cars right now might be this 79, and I am correct about that. The fastest lap of the race to Trey Smith and the 79. Now remember the 2020 season when Chase Harris was behind the wheel of the 79. Of course, Otter Island Motorsports, my team, back to being a full-time organization here in the Haas IndyCar Series. Chase Harris won 5 races in a 16-race season, by far the most dominant season anyone has had in a non-ratings season. And even in some of the rating seasons, we've not seen dominant performances like that. This 79, for whatever reason, is always a strong one, as Christian Vargas and Cole Raymond, as you see in the corner of your screen, have gotten into it in our first collision of the day between those 2 drivers. Not entirely sure where that occurred, but that's Cole Raymond, who was 3rd in the championship last year, and Christian Vargas back full-time in the Haas IndyCar Series. They're going to both be out of the race after whatever took them out, as you see in the corner of your screen. And John Andrews trying to close in here on Luna Lona, and Chris Reynolds right on the gearbox there of Ace Garcia.
Yeah, you were right. Garcia just does not have the race pace that we thought he might after that astounding qualifying effort, and it's definitely showing here.
And Chris Reynolds may have a shot right here to peek to
there
the
he
inside. We'll have to see if Garcia can actually keep that outside, but that's not going to be the case, as Chris Reynolds now going to take that 3rd position away. Hey, both of the Otter Island cars looking really fast. Trey Smith right there, and then of course the 75 of Chris Reynolds. Of course, both of those drivers a lot of experience. They both won races last year. Whereas Chris Reynolds won at Michigan, and then 79 of Trey Smith won the Indy 250 with Ryan Durrani Incorporated last year. And all 4 of these guys running each other. I think they're kind of stuck behind that 27, and it's a difficult place to make a pass here, Riverside, but they were able to get, at least Chris Reynolds was able to get around them. And it looks like that incident between Cole Raymond and Christian Vargas happened in the turn number 6, and just like I mentioned, that's the treacherous part on the racetrack, and we saw it come into effect right there. We go through the field. Of course, everybody else still rolling all right, but those 2 drivers going to be out of the race here early on. John Andrews not letting up on this 0-0. And all these guys still right on each other here on lap number 8. Andrews might have a shot as they head in the turn number 11 here. The close in a little bit, and I see a little bit of a run coming here for this 21. And before we get to the cycle of pit stops, we may see this 21 of John Andrews take the race lead away. Do you think he's going to have a shot at doing so here ahead of the rookie?
Depends where he makes it happen, but it does look like he has been gaining on Lona, especially in the final sector of the racetrack. We saw him make up quite a bit of time in that final hairpin.
And number 21 of John Andrews right here. Experienced veteran of the Haas IndyCar Series. This is only Lona's second ever start in the Haas IndyCar Series and her first on a road course as well. So these road course events, and especially this one, this is a difficult track to maneuver. Those S's are very hard to get around. And John Andrews putting a little bit of a test there to the rookie of Luna Lona. Of course, hey, this was the team you drove for last year. You actually drove for the 81 last year. I remember before we started, you said you drove for the 00. That was actually Nathan Faden, who was behind the wheel of the 00 for Dog Pound Incorporated. You drove, or Jay Knapp, I should say, not you, your son Jay Knapp drove for the 81, which is now driven by Zachary Fitzwater. Fitzwater not having the best of runs today. As, speaking of Jay Knapp, it looks like he's the next driver in line to get around Ace Garcia here. They're going to be side by side off the final corner. This may open the door for Trey Smith to get either one of them here, and I think Trey Smith's going to get Jay Knapp.
Yeah, Knapp just did not make the move in the right spot as he gets caught out by the 79, but it looks like he gets it back as the 79 might have put a wheel wrong in the sand just a bit. That was a little bit dicey.
Yeah, right there. These S's are some of the more treacherous corners on the circuit, and on the entire circuit of the Haas IndyCar Series, mind to tell you, those are very high-speed corners that they're going left and right and left and right, and everyone remains in their respective positions.
Jay just could not clear that 27, and it's just a testament of, even if you can manage to catch them and get alongside, making that pass is just so difficult at a track like this.
It absolutely is, but we have seen it work. These three drivers all passed Ace Garcia, and Luna Lona trying to hang on to this race lead. Now it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be the first one to make a move down the pit lane, where they are on the racetrack, and what they do on the pit lane, because all of that's going to factor into who wins this race. And I have a feeling that John Andrews, Chris Reynolds, they're both in positions to possibly pull this one off. Ace Garcia there in the 4th position. Jay Knapp, I got to give Jay Knapp a shot, and Trey Smith as well. I mean, Trey Smith has been one of the fastest drivers in this race. Of course, it's just difficult to make that pass, and you see these guys kind of bunch up behind Garcia right here. But I think any of these drivers have an opportunity, but they want to be closer to the race lead before they come down the pit lane. The closer you are, the less ground you have to make up on a strategy move on the pit lane.
And Garcia just, again, not having that race pace. But I do want to go back on something I said earlier. I said I think pitting sooner might have been the move. I'm actually going to say I think if you can pit later and spend less time on pit road, if you're going fuel only, that could very well be a race-winning move.
It definitely could. We'll see what that race-winning move is here in a few laps. But even then, they could come out right on each other, and we could see a pass for the race lead after the cycle of
Caleb Rose could flip everything on its head.
Yeah. And speaking of your pick, actually, we'll focus on this right here. Jay Knapp once again with a run on Ace Garcia. That's for 4th. And once again, I think we'll have a similar situation to the last time. It's hard to get that outside lane to work there through turn 1. That's just a fast, flat corner, and the shorter way around is usually the best way around.
Yeah, 98's getting impatient, not biding his time.
Speaking of Caleb Rose, your pick to win. Very bold pick, mind to tell you. He's actually moved up fairly well. 19th after starting dead last in 26. Of course, we did have a couple of drivers get knocked out, but Trackhouse Racing Team there, Reggie Fogelman, the owner. Caleb Rose has moved up through the field all right. We'll have to see if he plays some strategy, gets a good finish. I don't think it's going to be the win, as Vargas has actually gone back out there. He's 3 laps down, but he did get back out there, so if another wreck occurs, he may be able to gain a few points right there, and Cole Raymond is officially out of the race in the 95, but everybody else still on the lead lap here, lap 12 and 19. This is a fast race, and of course, it goes without saying if you're watching a road course race on my channel that there are no cautions on the road courses. I tend to forget to say that, but that is the case, of course, so this race stays green the whole way through. It's Jay Knapp continuing to pressure Ace Garcia. He might have it here. Oh boy, this is a tight one. He's going to try to get side by side. There's just no room to go for him here.
He's learning, although I don't know if he's going to be able to stick it up the inside into turn 6. That would be incredibly dangerous and reckless.
We'll see what he does here. Actually going to back off just a little bit before we get to that corner. Chris Reynolds actually trying to get on John Andrews here. He's actually right on the gearbox of the 21 now.
And all of this battling back here, 2nd through 5th, is just allowing Lona to build up even more of a lead, and that's going to help her out come pit stops.
Of course, last time by, it was still a little under half a second right there, ahead of John Andrews. Of course, the bigger of a lead that Luna has, the more options she will have on the pit lane. At this point, I think she has led the most laps, and she has led more laps than halfway, so she'll get that extra bonus point for leading the most laps in this race, and I think she's going to come down the pit lane. This is going to be interesting. She's going to come down. Aaron Abel as well down the pit lane in the 97. And if you're back here, I don't think you're going to have a shot at winning. Caleb Rose there in the 3. No strategy on the 3 machine quite yet. As this is now the battle for the race lead, as John Andrews has officially led a lap, so we now have 3 different leaders in this race, as Andrews is all pressured from this 75 of Chris Reynolds. And these guys are probably going to come down next lap.
And one thing that you got to take into account is that if you're battling on your in and out laps, that's going to give up even more time. So if you can get some clean air, run some fast laps during the pit cycle, that's going to help you advance.
It definitely will. Lona with a very slow stop.
Oh my goodness.
And Aaron Abel's going to jump her on the pit lane. I'm wondering if she went tires, and Aaron Abel did not, but that 00, I don't think she's going to win this race now. No, we weren't focusing on her there as we had that battle for the race lead. I think these guys are going to come down right here. At least John Andrews will come down. I think Chris Reynolds is going to stay out and get a bonus point towards the championship. Jay Knapp and the 75. So your strategy, your second call there may work out for Jay and Chris and Trey Smith. And Trey Smith, I think, pulled that same strategy last year as well, and here he is running third with a shot at doing so. We're going to focus on these guys, though. John Andrews in the 21. It is across the line, 5 laps to go here in NAPA Indy California. Already 4 different leaders in this race, leading laps. Let's see what John Andrews can do, as he was the race leader when he came down the pit lane. Luna was jumped by Aaron Abel. And I imagine this is going to be a fuel-only stop here for John Andrews and all these guys who just came down. Oh, no, tires on Andrews. At least left side. Now, this is the one little kink of this game that I'm not a big fan of when it comes to IndyCar, because 2-tire stops are not really a thing in IndyCar. But that is what John Andrews is going to do, and most of these guys here, so going to be fascinating, but I don't think it's going to work out. Aaron Abel going to jump him right there, and here comes Lona in the 00.
Lona lost 2 positions there.
But Aaron Abel now may be in position to steal this one here at Riverside. So here we go. Chris Reynolds, Jay Knapp, Trey Smith, Landon Smith Jr., and Avery Alford coming down here. And I would imagine these guys are going to go fuel only. There's only going to be 4 laps to go for these guys as they cross the line right there.
Yeah, taking tires just does not make sense this late in the race. And all the time you give up, think about it.
I think the thing John Andrews was thinking about with regards to Aaron Abel at least was maybe if I get tires, I might be running faster the last 5 laps and maybe catch them on the racetrack. But we've seen catching a driver is one thing, passing them is another. And it will be fuel only. Look at Trey Smith. They're all going to come out right at the same time. Chris Reynolds in the 75. Where is he going to come out in relation to Aaron Abel? Oh, these guys are well out ahead of Abel and all these guys. There's the 97 coming up towards the gearbox of Trey Smith. But Chris Reynolds out and ahead with a fuel-only stop, and he's got a significant lead here on Jay Knapp. This could get interesting.
Yeah, fuel only, definitely the right call there, is all those guys who've been top 3, top 5 this entire race have fallen back, but that 75 has been up front this entire time, been incredibly fast.
Now 97, tires are kind of warmed up being out there on the racetrack. Of course, these guys didn't take tires, so they really don't have to worry too much about cold tires since they didn't take any. Christian Vargas, keep in mind, is 3 laps down, probably now 4 laps down on the 73. John Andrews there fell back. He took tires, and so did Lona, and they fell back. Andrews, I think, is going to be 5th, and Lona is going to be 6th, and they were both leading when they came down the pit lane. The gap at the line, Chris Reynolds, as he's now got 3 laps to go here in NAPA Indy California, 2.25 seconds ahead of Jay Knapp. Regardless of the fact, you got to be happy with Jay Knapp getting this run here. A terrible season for Jay Knapp, I got to be honest. Was dead last of all the full-time drivers last year in points, but this is definitely a nice turnaround here for NS Racing.
Certainly a step up, and definitely learning more and more after not being a rookie anymore. Maybe have a little bit more confidence in the car and in what the other drivers are going to do, but I will say, speaking of rookies, Luna Lona leading all those laps today, regardless of where she finishes, as she's under fire currently. Regardless of where she finishes, outstanding run by that rookie.
Absolutely.
First time on a road course.
And an outstanding run last week at the Auto Club Speedway as well, I should say. She grabbed the race or she grabbed second place there, just behind Justin Seidel. Landon Smith Jr. almost had it. They're coming up on the lap car of Christian Vargas, who is off the pace from the accident.
Yeah,
back
Vargas
to the
just
race
let him
lead, and only unless something drastic happens. And this race is not over until it's over. I will never forget, like I said, that 2018 race where Eric Monaco was coming to the checkered flag and came down the pit lane with an oil leak. It's not over until it's over, and we'll just have to see if Reynolds can, in fact, keep this race lead and get this race victory.
Neat and tidy line through turn 6. Looks like a lot of these guys, the tires don't appear to be helping as much as maybe some of these guys thought, as all these fuel-only guys are still got a significant buffer.
There's 21 of John Anders there, still in the 5th position. I think he might be closing in a little bit here on Aaron Abel and Trey Smith, but just not going to be enough time to really do anything with them. And I think we're at the point of the race now where it's going to take something drastic to happen in order for anything to happen here at Riverside. White flag in the air in NAPA Indy California for Chris Reynolds in the 75 in Otter Island Motorsports. This 75 has never gone the victory lane in the Haas IndyCar Series. The 79 has 5 times in the past with Chase Harris, but that season Marty Johnson drove the 75 and could never get it to victory lane. Chris Reynolds didn't have a good season last year outside of his Michigan 100 race victory, but a switch over to this team, bringing new life to Chris Reynolds in his second full-time season in the Haas IndyCar Series. A great run for him here, driving for Otter Island Motorsports. And it's looking like he might take this 75 to victory lane. But Jay Knapp, a great run for him for NS Racing. Trey Smith, a great run for last year's Riverside winner. And that's exactly what Trey Smith wants, to kind of build those points up when he can. Of course, it's 50 points for the winner. And unless something happens to Chris Reynolds, that is exactly what he's going to get here today for getting this race victory in NAPA Indy California. Going to the final corner. Chris Reynolds. Make sure he passes the pit lane. He does. Chris Reynolds wins NAPA Indy California here at Riverside. Jay Knapp in second, and Trey Smith with the podium here. The second race of the season. Aaron Abel, John Andrews, Luna Lona, Landon Smith Jr., Tanner Parton, Ace Garcia, our pole sitter, all the way back in 9th, and then Logan Williams rounds out the top 10. Well, your strategy call was correct, Micah. Take the fuel only as late as you can, and that is exactly what Chris Reynolds did to get this race victory here at Riverside.
Yep, spending less time on pit lane and having a mistake-free day certainly worked out for some of these, for the 75, obviously, but all these guys in the top 5.
Yeah, Jay Knapp, Trey Smith, they definitely gained an advantage from it. I think Aaron Abel, we thought that he may actually get the race victory. He went fuel only on his stop, but he did it 2 laps earlier, and I think that may have just been kind of the kicker there. Of course, he was already behind those 3 guys ahead of him. But regardless of the fact, very fascinating race and kind of just what we expected. Strategy coming into play, but a bit more competitive than it has been in the past. And Chris Reynolds gets it done for Otter Island Motorsports, and Jay Knapp. I'm sure you'll love seeing that. That was a great run there for Jay Knapp there in the second race of the season, and looking to build upon that for your son there, the number 98 for NS Racing. Trey Smith finished runner-up in the championship last year. Great run there in 3rd. Aaron Abel had a great run. I mean, Otter Island Motorsports and NS Racing took all of the top 4 positions right there. So me and my good buddy Nathan, we had some good runs here. This is my 6th win as an owner in this series. It was the reason why I took my team out last year, I guess. Regardless of the fact the ratings are equal in this series, don't worry. But thoughts on that race, Micah? You know, it was interesting to see how it played out. I think what happened with Luna Lona was a bit of a surprise, and she did not end up with the best run there because of that strategy.
It's always interesting here at Riverside, the strategy really making or breaking drivers' races, and it seems like it's always been that way every single race here. So if you can master it, definitely a good track for you. Definitely am proud of that 98, but shout out to my guy Caleb Rose. Came up from dead last all the way to 15th. So certainly a good run for that 3 bunch.
Yeah, that's a win, I think, on a road course. If you start dead last and you get a top 15, that's just how difficult it is, and especially this one. We have this one. We have Lime Rock Park, especially, are two of the more difficult places to make a pass, I feel like. I think Lime Rock's probably the hardest place to make a pass, and we'll be there in April. But our next race, 2 weeks from now, we're taking them next week off from the Willow Springs International Raceway for the Grand Prix of California. And I promise it'll be our last California race of the year here for the Haas IndyCar Series. You have the California 100, NAPA Indy California, and then the Grand Prix of California. And I know we don't go to Long Beach, but Long Beach is just a very mid track in this game. Not in real life, it's a great track in real life, but in this game, it is not the best. But these wide sweeping road courses work very well for the IndyCar Series, and we've always gone to these tracks. And looking forward to the race at Willow Springs, which is kind of a similar track in a way to Riverside, just with a lot more elevation. How do you think that race will play out in a couple of weeks' time here in the Haas IndyCar Series?
We could see something very similar, it being so hard to pass, but I mean, Willow Springs has a history of being wild and crazy, so it could be incredibly different. We could see a lot more carnage, a lot more trouble for some of these guys, so we'll just have to wait and see.
It's going to be a fun one. That's going to be 2 weeks from tonight, Monday night, March, whenever that is. Let me see. Monday night, March 13th, when that race goes up. So hope you guys stick around and enjoy that one. Hey, huge congratulations to Chris Reynolds for getting the race victory here at the Riverside International Raceway. That scheme is a very special one for me. The Wolf Sanctuary of PA on that car. I volunteer there. I absolutely love it. And great to see that car go to victory lane for the first time. Hopefully not the last time. And hey, great to see Chris Reynolds get it done there for my team. I gotta say something about that. But it's also great to see JNAP finish second. And I promise we're not rigging it. We really are not. Hey, it was a great race here at Riverside. We will see you guys 2 weeks' time from Willow Springs. And this week we got, I think, Las Vegas in the Wawa Sprint Series and the Wawa Cup Series. Of course, sign up for the Wawa Sprint Series every Wednesday night if you want to be part of that. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Congratulations to Chris Reynolds, and I will see you guys later.